Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name is Joe. In this video, we'll be doing a first look at the game Rule the Waves Britannia. This is by Matt Haywood of MH Games and is published by Catastrophe Games. So this was a recent Kickstarter that I backed. It came with the printed version or the print and play version. I obviously opted for the printed version in the box. It's a relatively small box. You can see by the size of my hands compared to the box that it is not a particularly large package, which is fine. So this is, as you might guess, a naval game. Let's flip her over. So it does say you are to take command of some of the famous British ships of the 17th and 18th century with the mission to help the Empire rule the waves and rid them of its enemies. Take your ship on journeys through the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Mediterranean to take on pirates, French, Dutch, and Spanish, and rule the waves. You can see some pictures of various ship cards. We've got Queen Anne's Revenge, the famous ship of Blackbeard, the pirate. You have HMS Britannia, first-rate ship. Commander Sir T. Robinson, guns 100, Q. So you've got various ratings, etc., etc. This is a solitaire game designed by Matt Haywood. Graphics Patrick Gomez, also known as Wizar, and developer Van Lee. So as I mentioned, this is from Catastrophe Games. Supposed time of play, 30 minutes, ages 14 and up, 1 player. All right, let's bust into the package and see what we've got in here. Okay, so let's open up the box. I've pulled the shrink off. Okay, so this is a card game, as you can see. Comes in a bag with a couple of D20 and some wooden blocks. Looks like it's already kind of ripped, so let's open her up here. We've got our D20, we've got our cubes, and we've got our deck of cards. Now, if you've gotten any games from Catastrophe before, they do come with kind of these plastic things on here, and I took the wrong one off first, or tried to. They kind of hold them together. You pull those off. You can always kind of slide them back in. It's a little bit difficult occasionally. So this is the back of the cards. There are various types. So these are hit point tracker cards and hit point cards, ammunition cards. So basically kind of tracker type cards, like I said, enemy hit points, 8 hit point trackers, and ammunition cards. Okay, then we've got these here, which are the British ships. So you've got any of these to choose from when you start a journey, and there are 5 journeys in the game. So basically 5 campaigns, and the symbols on here, the little bullseye, as you might guess, is accuracy. That's the number you'll need to roll under to hit. The little cannonball bomb symbol here, that is ammunition. The ship up there is the evade rating, which it lets you avoid being hit. And then, of course, you've got your hit points as well. So we've got the HMS Vanguard, Royal Sovereign, Marlborough, Lancaster, Cornwall, Burford, Buckingham, and Britannia. So those are your British ships, and you will be commanding one of these. And you change it up. You'll get different ships for each journey. And we've got these Rule the Waves cards, of which there are a lot. And these, I believe, are the event cards. So these will be basically what drives the game. So you'll draw one of these, and you can see that you'll have to shuffle them because you have these open water cards, which moves your hit points up 2 points to the max of 14. Then you've got various enemy cards. So you draw an enemy card out. So these are pirate cards. So you have Calico Jack in the Ranger, Black Bart in the Royal Fortune, Whydah Galley in the or Black Sam in the Whydah Galley, Blackbeard in the Queen Anne's Revenge, Anne Bonny in the William, and back to Calico Jack. And then we've got some event cards here for enemy sighted. various things. Spanish, 2 ships, 3 ships, single ship. Those are Spanish sighting cards. Then we've got some Spanish ships. You've got the San Felipe, which is a flagship. You've got the French flagship Soleil Royal. Then you've got French sighting ones, and I guess that you get kind of generic enemy cards. I haven't read the rules, but just a little bit. So you can obviously have a flagship, which would be these two, and then you have regular enemy cards and how big a squadron, I guess, or flotilla, I'm not sure. 2 ships, 2 ships, 2 ships, 3 ships, 3 ships, single ship, single ship, single ship, single, single. Then we've got the Dutch, same thing, some Dutch. Then you've got some enemy sighted Dutch ships. And I guess the Dutch don't have a flagship. There's a lot of Dutch ships here, though. So you have 3 types of enemies: the Spanish, the French, and the Dutch, and pirates. Then you've got your journey cards. So you've got Jamaica, and you start at 1, I believe, and you move along the path. So there are 6 stops on here, basically, where you're going to draw a card and see what happens. We've got Europe. We've got the Caribbean, which has a lot of 7. So that's the longest one so far. Then you've got the Atlantic, which has 8, actually, so that's longer. And America actually has 9. So they're kind of in, I guess, ascending order of complexity, maybe. So kind of the way this works is we do have our wooden blocks here, which are used to kind of track the status of various things. And we've got our 2d20. So the rules are really simple here. We've got basically a fold out of basically like little less than 4 pages. So you can see what you get: 8 British ships, 5 pirate ships, 5 journey cards, 7 open water, 30 enemy ships, 2 enemy flagships, 4 hit point cards, 2 British ammunition cards, 2 20-sided dice, and 7 cubes. And your goal is, if you go through all 5 journeys and make it home safely each time without being sunk while sinking as many pirates and enemy ships as possible, the rank you achieve depends on how many enemies you sink and if you defeated the pirates and flagships. Goes over what all the symbols mean, which I kind of already did. How you set up the game with a layout here. The round of play. So you draw an open water card, you follow the instructions. Some will produce one-time effects, some can produce a persistent effect. Like here we say shoring, which as I said, moved your HP up by 2. No enemies in sight. This one right here says that you can swab the decks and restore your ship to full hit points. If it is an enemy ship, you have 2 items. You can either battle or escape, which it says here. Then you'll place your cube on the number of hit points for the ship. The British attack first. Basically, you decide how much ammunition you want to use, and you'll put that out on your card, and you'll roll your dice, and you roll for accuracy, and your accuracy, again, goes with this rating right here. So if you were in the vanguard, your accuracy is 11 or higher. If you then hit, the enemy would get a chance to evade. They would roll based on their evasion ability. So if we look at the San Felipe, it has an 18. So that's the evasion rating. And if they evade, then they take no damage. If they're hit, they would take damage. And you can see how many hit points they have. They have 5 hit points in the case of that one. Whereas your HMS Vanguard is a tough bird. It's got 13. So that's a pretty good one. The Sovereign. Most of these British ships are between 12, I guess 2 or 11, and you have a 12, a couple 14s, and a 13. So there's some variety in there. You can also elect to try to escape. So you keep on fighting basically until you either try to escape, or you are sunk, or you sink the enemy ships. Or you run out of ammunition, and then when you run out of ammunition, you must try to escape. And then escape, you have to roll your evade value or higher, to escape, and the combat is over. Once all British ships have escaped, you place the card on the discard pile. There are several modes. Like, this is basically a solitaire game, but you do have a co-op mode where you would have 2 British ships or multiple British ships. Then you have a versus mode. So you draw 1 card each to face separately. And then you have the historical mode, which basically just tells you for each of the journeys how you prepare your event deck. So for Europe, you'd have open water, all enemies, no pirates. Atlantic, same. Atlantic, you would have all enemies and pirates. America, you get French, Dutch, and pirates. Jamaica, Spanish, French, and pirates. Caribbean, Spanish, Dutch, and pirates. So decent amount of game in this little box, in my opinion. And I'm going to be doing, I'll do a playthrough of it just so we can kind of see it in action. It is a card game, so, you know, the video probably won't be too long. We'll just kind of go through a few rounds. Got the board, I guess the glue didn't really stick there. We'll go through a few rounds and see how things look and so on and so forth. So I don't want this video to be too long because it is a fairly straightforward game, but it looks interesting. Nice historical flavor. You got some good historical ships here, and it even tells you who the commanders were. So that will do it for now. As always, thank you for watching. Please, if you feel free to comment. Please consider liking, sharing, and/or subscribing if you would. That'd be great. But that's going to do it for now. My name's Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered, and until next time, happy gaming.